Okay, get this. What if I told you archaeologists found a device so advanced that we wouldn't see its like again for over 1,000 years?
Yeah, it's a discovery that really makes you rethink a lot of assumptions about the past.
It really does. We're talking about the Antikythera Mechanism, and just to set the stage, picture this. It's 1900.
A group of Greek divers.
Right, Greek divers, they're exploring this Roman shipwreck off the coast of Antikythera. It's a tiny island in the Aegean Sea, 45 meters down. They find the usual stuff,
Pottery, statues.
Yeah, all the typical ancient artifacts, but then they pull up something totally bizarre.
It wasn't like some beautiful treasure or anything.
Right.
It was a corroded lump of bronze, like about the size of a shoebox.
I can imagine they had no clue what it was.
No, they were baffled. Think about it. It would be like finding a smartphone in King Tut's tomb.
Yeah, utterly out of place.
Completely. Why would there be these precisely engineered bronze gears in a shipwreck from before the time of Christ?
It just doesn't make sense. So what happened? Did they just toss it in a museum basement and forget about it?
Thankfully, no. Even though they couldn't figure out what it was, archaeologists knew it was something special.
I see.
At first, they only had those 3 pieces, but even those hinted at something much bigger.
Right.
It wasn't until much later, with X-ray CT scanning, that we got a real look inside.
Ah, that makes sense. So they could see what was in there without actually taking the thing apart. And what did they find?
Well, this is where it gets wild.
Yeah.
The scans revealed dozens of interlocking gears.
Wow.
All perfectly crafted and incredibly intricate, like looking inside a really complicated clock.
I bet.
And that's when it hit them. They weren't looking at some random device. It was an astronomical computer.
From 2,000 years ago. No way. That's incredible. But how in the world did they figure out what it does? Was there, like, an ancient user manual hidden in there somewhere?
No user manual. But the mechanism itself gave them the clues. It was like a giant puzzle. They had to study every gear and every tooth. For instance, one gear has 235 teeth. And that number immediately stood out to researchers.
Why?
Because it matches the 235-month Metonic cycle, an astronomical cycle that the ancient Greeks knew about.
Ah, interesting. So
Yeah.
each tooth on the gear represents a month.
That's the idea. And as the gear turns, it tracks the 235-month cycle, which, by the way, also lines up perfectly with 19 solar years.
Wow, so they were creating these physical representations of these really complex astronomical cycles.
Exactly. And it gets even cooler. Another gear has 127 teeth,
Okay.
which is exactly half of 254, the number of lunar months in that same 19-year Metonic cycle.
That's amazing. So efficient.
Right. They pack so much information into this thing.
It makes you wonder what else they knew. But they weren't only using Greek astronomy
But
or...
right, it wasn't just Greek knowledge.
I see.
Another gear is estimated to have 223 teeth.
Okay.
And that lines up with the Babylonian eclipse cycle. It's like a blend of astronomical knowledge from different cultures.
So the Antikythera Mechanism was a real multicultural masterpiece. I'm remembering, you mentioned earlier that it even accounted for the elliptical orbit of the moon. For those who might not know, can you quickly explain what that is?
Oh, sure. An elliptical orbit means the moon's distance from the Earth isn't constant. It's
Yeah.
not a perfect circle, so it gets closer and further away as it goes around.
Right.
And what's amazing is that the ancient Greeks, like a lot of ancient cultures, thought everything in the heavens moved in perfect circles.
I see.
So for them to not only observe that the moon's orbit was elliptical, but to actually build that into this mechanism, well, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, so we've got this device that can track the sun, the moon, planets, even that elliptical orbit of the moon, all packed into something the size of a shoebox, built over 2,000 years ago. It's just unbelievable. But why would they need something so precise? Were they just super into stargazing?
I don't think it was just a hobby. Knowing how the heavens moved had really practical uses. Think about agriculture. Planting and harvesting are all tied to the seasons, to the stars. This device could have helped them plan all of that.
But like a high-tech farmer's almanac.
But there's got to be more to it than just that, right?
You got it. There was also a power element. Imagine being a ruler who could accurately predict eclipses.
Oh, yeah.
People would think you had divine knowledge. It would give you a ton of authority.
Because back then they thought what happened in the sky directly affected things down here.
Absolutely. And don't forget, this was found on a Roman shipwreck. So some historians think it might have been loot.
Stolen treasure.
Maybe the Romans didn't understand it or couldn't build their own. So instead of seeing it as this amazing technology, it became just a weird curio.
That's interesting. It makes
Wow.
you wonder who built the thing in the first place.
Well, that's where things get really fascinating. Well, the evidence points to the island of Rhodes.
Rhodes.
Yeah, they were known for being incredible craftspeople. I
Yeah.
mean, think about the Colossus of Rhodes.
Oh, yeah, that giant bronze statue, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world.
It's exactly over 100 feet tall. That takes serious engineering.
But a statue, even a huge one, is one thing. The Antikythera Mechanism, that's a whole other level.
True, there's a big jump in complexity. But there are hints that the Rhodians might have had even more skills than we realize.
Like what?
Well, the ancient Greek poet Pindar, he described Rhodes as a place where, and I'm quoting here, statues move like living men.
Whoa, that's creepy.
He was talking about automata, basically ancient robots.
Robots, powered by what? Water?
Water or weights, yeah. So if they can make something that sophisticated, a device like the Antikythera Mechanism isn't so far-fetched.
So Rhodes was like the Silicon Valley of the ancient world.
Exactly, a hub of invention and technology. But get this, there's an even more interesting theory, and it involves a name you might recognize, Archimedes.
Wait, Eureka? Archimedes, the guy who figured out buoyancy in the bathtub?
That's the one. He lived in the right time period, and he was a genius. Inventor, mathematician, physicist, astronomer, all of it.
He was a busy guy.
And there are records of him building this giant water-powered astronomical calculator.
Okay, now we're talking. Is there any direct evidence linking him to the Antikythera Mechanism, though?
There is. So, you know how Archimedes defended his city, Syracuse, against the Romans?
Yeah, wasn't he like building crazy war machines?
Oh, yeah. Giant claws that could lift ships right out of the water, mirrors that focus sunlight to set them on fire.
Sounds like something out of a movie.
Right. But after Archimedes was killed in the siege, the Romans looted the city. And the accounts say they took 2 astronomical devices.
2? What happened to them?
One was kept by the Roman general, Marcellus. The other was sent back to Rome.
So you're thinking one of those could be the Antikythera Mechanism, but that's a lot of ifs.
It is, but there's one more clue that makes it even more intriguing. The words for the moon on the mechanism.
Yeah.
They match the dialect of ancient Corinth.
Okay.
And guess what? Archimedes' ancestors were from Corinth.
Wow, that's too much to be a coincidence. Sounds like we're building a good case for Archimedes.
Right. Put it all together at the right time, the skills, the Roman accounts, the dialect, it's hard to ignore. Even if he didn't build it himself, it's possible the Antikythera Mechanism was inspired by his work.
Yeah, he was a pretty influential guy. But here's the thing. If it's this advanced, maybe even linked to Archimedes, why did this tech just vanish for 1,500 years? Where are all the other Antikythera mechanisms? Where are the blueprints? You'd think someone would have written this stuff down.
That is the biggest mystery of all. And it's one that still bothers historians and scientists today. The other device, the plans, they're gone, lost to history. It's like we have this one amazing piece of the puzzle, but the rest are missing. It's just a glimpse into something we may never fully understand.
It's like they had this incredible technology and then poof, it's gone, vanished.
No.
Did any other cultures know about this? Was there like some secret society of ancient engineers that we haven't discovered yet?
I wish I had the answers. But that's part of what makes it so fascinating, right? History is full of these gaps, these mysteries. We're always trying to put the pieces together.
I guess so, but it's also a bit frustrating. I mean, why didn't this knowledge spread? Why wasn't it replicated, improved on? Was there some ancient library fire where all the plans went up in smoke?
There are tons of theories, but it's all just speculation at this point. One idea is that the knowledge was limited to a really small group, maybe even a single workshop, like you said, on Rhodes.
Okay, yeah.
If that's true, then maybe when they were gone, the knowledge died with them. War, disease, who knows?
That makes sense, but you'd still think there'd be some trace, right? Some other similar devices, or at least some written records. It's like it just blinked out of existence.
That's the thing. The Antikythera Mechanism really challenges how we think about knowledge and technology. We like to think it's this straight line, always moving forward. But this suggests maybe it's not so simple.
Yeah, it's a bit humbling, isn't it?
It is. It tells us we're still figuring things out. Our understanding of history is still evolving. And the Antikythera Mechanism is like this giant reminder of that.
It makes you wonder what else is still out there waiting to be found.
Exactly. Maybe buried under the ocean or hidden away in some forgotten collection. Who knows?
Well, I think we've given everyone a lot to think about today. If you're as intrigued by the Antikythera Mechanism as we are, I encourage you to do your own research.
Yeah, dive into it. Read everything you can find. Explore the different theories.
Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to solve the mystery.
And the Antikythera Mechanism is just one example. There are so many mysteries in history. Lost technologies, forgotten civilizations, unexplained events.
So much we don't know.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah,
And that's the beauty of it.
that's right. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, never lose that curiosity. Until next time, happy deep diving, everyone.